Alrighty, hey everyone, welcome back. So quite the eventful weekend that we've had here. Maduro was captured with really not much fuss, which was kind of great there. Not sure what that means long term for us, but I think in the short term it looks like it's pretty good here. Bitcoin's still doing pretty good overall. It's up to 93,000 here. Miners are kind of pumping a little bit pre-hours here as it is. Oil prices are coming down. The oil companies are pumping as well in the after hours or pre-hours in the markets there. So it looks like it might be good things happening here in 2026. Time will only tell on that. But we'll take a look at what obviously happened here with Bitcoin over the weekend. We'll take a look at how the miners are doing in pre-hours. We'll also take a look at how the miners did last week compared to Bitcoin. Now, the normal charts that I use are not available because the service that I use, which is obviously Apple's spreadsheets or Apple's numbers as they call it, they're having issues with getting the data for end of Friday for some reason. I'm not sure why. It could be because I think they're using Yahoo for whatever reason, but it's not pulling in the data, so I don't have the data for it. So we'll just take a look at the charts on what's it called? TradingView. As far as the weekly performance on these guys, we'll look at that. And then we should start seeing later on this week some updates from the miners as far as what their production was for December. So we'll have that to look forward as well. And then we have some other good news stories as well as far as data center needs, power needs as well, and some other good things as well. All right, so we'll get through that. But always we got to go through this. Not financial advice for only. Do your own research. Full disclosure below that. Hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously here. And let's take a look at what we got going on here right now with Bitcoin. Bitcoin had a great weekend. It had a nice rally here in the last couple of days here. So let's take a look at that here. Go to browser. All right, here's what we got. So Bitcoin started out on Thursday being in the green, right? Being up 1.42% here. Friday, we were up 1.37%. Saturday, we were up 0.71%. Sunday, we were up almost 1% there. And today, we're up 1.55%, getting to 93,343, which is the high there. On the CME futures, if we look at that here for Bitcoin, we do have a slight gap between the high point here from Friday, which the high point at that point was 91,555. The low here for starting out this new week here is 1,595. So we're off by like $40. There's a small gap there. I don't know if we're going to get that filled there. I mean, on the chart, it almost looks like it's filled here, but we're off by just like $40 on that one. So as we have talked before ad nauseum, Bitcoin tends to like to go down and fill those gaps. I don't know if it's going to happen here relatively quickly here. I'd rather have it happening quickly here than prolonged, so that way we can start a new rally here. But maybe this gets, kind of like null and void a little bit because it's only $40 difference. That's not a huge difference there. We have seen other gaps here, like we saw back here, right? This was back in October. We had a gap that got filled relatively easily. We had other gaps as well that got filled along the way. Let me see here. There was a gap here that got filled up. Then we had a gap here that got eventually filled up. So gaps like to get filled up. It's not 100% certainty that they will get filled up, but we do tend to get those things filled up. Okay. So again, like I said, if we do fill that gap here of $40, I hope it happens quickly, like tomorrow maybe, when the markets actually open up, because we've seen that before where Bitcoin is actually pumping here and then markets open up and things drop down on us. Okay. So we'll have to keep an eye on that, how that progresses going forward into tomorrow. And we'll obviously cover it at that point here. But man, right now it's looking pretty good here for Bitcoin overall. We also broke out of this triangle that we had here from, the descending wedge, I think they call it. Correct me if I'm wrong there. I think it's a descending wedge. And then eventually, I thought we were going to probably bounce at the beginning of the new year. It's happened here. We headed out like a little bit longer to like Saturday maybe, but we're bouncing above that line here, which is a good sign overall. We have bounced above that line or bounced this high before in the past as well, but we've also come down here. So are we still stuck in a, what's the word I'm looking for there? In a span of price on Bitcoin? That I don't know, right? If we break above some of these lines here, which at this point was the high of 94,640. If we break above that, I think we're clear to roll up even higher. But we've been kind of in this no man's land here with Bitcoin trading sideways more or less. Okay, so there's that. Bitcoin on the weekly here, if we look at that, Bitcoin for the week here was up 4.12% for last week. If we look at the miners here, we'll look at Bitfarms here. Bitfarms is up 4.84, so kind of similar to that. BitDeer was up, let's see here, 7.54, so it did a little bit better there. Kango was also up a little bit. It was up 1.44, so it did worse than Bitcoin. Cypher was up 6.65%, so it did better than Bitcoin. Cleanspark here had a nice week. It was up 5.87%, so it did better just slightly. CORZ was up also 4.58%, so right around Bitcoin. Hive was flat more or less. It was just up 0.37 on the week. Hut 8 here. Looking at that one was up 3.28, so it actually did worse than Bitcoin. IREN here was up 5.96%, so it did better. Mara was up 3.34, did worse than Bitcoin. And Riot here really quick was up 5.36%, did a little bit better. And finally, Wolf here was up 8.43%. So that one was the best performer here for the past week at least on it. Now, hopefully the numbers that I do have for the miners will get updated tomorrow for my spreadsheet. And if they do, then we'll take a look at how far the miners are up from their 52-week lows to their 52-week highs as well. We'll take a look at that tomorrow potentially and cover anything else here. But overall, things are looking good here. Like I've been saying, I think that we are heading into an extended cycle with Bitcoin. We've had obviously a lot of people talking about it as being, we're going into a bear market in Bitcoin, right? We're going down to 60, some are saying 60, some are saying even 40,000 in Bitcoin price action here. Doesn't look like it, at least right now. We've had obviously a lot of signals pointing to us that we might be in an extended cycle. And this is another one that's shaping up that way. But time will tell, right? I'm not going to count my chickens before they're hatched here. Right now, it is looking like we might be in an extended cycle, which kind of coincides with everything that we've been talking about, right? The extended cycle being made up by more institutions, companies buying it, all those other things happening into it. Some differences in the cycle as well as far as how Bitcoin performed last year, how we had extended runs to the upside, but we also had extended runs to the downside. It wasn't anywhere near what we've seen in the past as well in the performance of Bitcoin. So fingers crossed, we'll have an extended cycle here going forward, but I think that's looking pretty good here right now as it is. All right, so there's that. Miners here after hours right now. If we look at those guys here, we can see that BitDeer's up 2.6% here. Bitfarms is up nicely, up 6.53%. So the miners are definitely running here in the pre-hours. Kango is down 0.71%. It was didn't do that well also on Friday here. You got Cypher being up 2.1%. You got Cleanspark here being up. Let's see where this one ends up at now. Almost 7%, 6.93%. So that's looking pretty good there. Had a great Friday. Cleanspark was up 14% on Friday, a little bit more than that. You got Core being up 0.63% here. Hive being up 4%. Hut 8 being up 3.12%. IREN being up. Let's see where that one comes in. It might. I know there's a lot of trading going on. That's up 2.34%. Mara is up also 4.44%. No, 4.24% on that one. And then Riot is up 3.04%, and TeraWolf is up 2.67%. Overall, pretty good. Let this continue going forward, right? We all need these things to go up much higher, especially if we want to get to new 52-week highs on these things, which they reached pretty much back in September, October timeframe, and we've been coming down ever since then. So I'm liking what I'm seeing here, at least right now. I don't want to be too aggressive on this because I don't want the RSI to get too extended on this as well. So I'd rather have slow and steady gains than rocket ship gains here on these guys. Okay, that's just my thoughts on that. If we look at some other things that we do have going on here right now, Bitcoin right now is up 5.8% in January. Looking so far pretty good. We've only been into January for a couple of days, but overall it's looking pretty good here. Bitcoin ETFs here, we had a net inflow of 471 million in on January 2nd, which was Friday, obviously. Prior to that, we also had inflows of on December 30th. So those were looking pretty good there. And then when we see the outflows were much lower at that point, but they were just continuous. They were nonstop happening on that side of things. So things may be changing around here for us as well. All right, some good news stories that we do have here. This is from Professor S. Strones. Bitcoin history repeats itself. So Bitcoin versus USD here, November 2025 here, right? If you look at the chart here, November 2021 here as well. It looks like we might be going back up here. And he's saying that we could go to like 280,000. That would be fantastic. I'd love to see that as always. I'd be happy if we get to like 180 in the next year or so. But if we get to 280, that's all the better. Because at that point, the miners that are still mining Bitcoin here, they will be generating a heck of a lot more revenue, which then can be fueled to build out data centers for AI, compute, all that stuff going forward. Next here, every time the Stoic RSI, US 10-year and Canadian 10-year had a bullish crossover. A Bitcoin bull run followed. It's happening again here, so he's pointing this out. Or you can see here how that's playing out. Each time that has played out, Bitcoin went on a run here. So maybe 2026 is actually the year that we get a nice bull run here. Right, getting to 180,000 would be roughly 100% from where we are right now. Last year, we saw a negative 6%. So we actually lost on Bitcoin in 2025. If we can get a nice bullish run here in 2026, that would be great. Things coming down as far as price, with oil coming down right now because of Maduro being arrested, basically, taken out of his country there. And if we get a pro-Western government in Venezuela, that's obviously going to mean more oil for the markets. Prices of oil should come down, which then should lead to other things coming down in price as well. Anything that gets transported, right, that's based on oil prices, diesel, fuel, things like that, that will lead to lower prices on all those things. So that should be a good thing for the economy. Plus rate cuts happening. I think that's going to be a good thing as well. So we just have a lot of good things here happening in 2026 here potentially. All right, this is from Matthew Schultz, CEO of Cleanspark. This is one of those times I'm really proud we've continued to grow our massive hodl of Bitcoin on the balance sheet. CNBC announced live on TV that Walmart will now accept Bitcoin and crypto via OnePay Cash. They have over 150 million users here, so that is great news there. Adoption is continuing to happen here for Bitcoin, and as that happens, the price of Bitcoin is going to go up because more demand than supply is happening in the space. So that's good news there, which obviously could be leading to also Bitcoin price going up here in value right now as it is. Next here, we got from Small Cap Sniper, AI infrastructure energy demand stocks to keep on watch for 2026. Ex-CEO Google Eric Schmidt on energy demand driven by AI. We need energy and the numbers are profound. What we need from you is energy in all forms. People are planning 10 gigawatt data centers, but they can't get those in relatively quick time here. He goes on to talk about IREN. IREN owns and develops vertically integrated data centers for hyperscalers. They also own their own GPUs for their own customers. Site for large power footprint, 3.4 gigawatts pipeline for AI workloads and HPC. Wolf, high capacity, low cost data centers expansion across Texas and New York. Nebius, AI compute and cloud services translating energy into revenue. Cleanspark, America's Bitcoin miner, transitioning to AI infrastructure with a massive power footprint across 30 plus data center sites. Bitfarms owns and operates power sites positioned for AI workloads yet to sign with a hyperscaler, but could come this year. Galaxy, multi-gigawatt data center infrastructure at scale. And here is Dr. Schmidt talking, I believe it was to Congress or the Senate. I'm not sure who he was talking to, but let's take a quick listen to that one.
Most importantly, we need the energy, and the numbers are profound. What we need from you, if I may say that directly, is we need energy in all forms, renewable, non-renewable, whatever. It needs to be there, and it needs to be quickly. I and others are investing in things like fusion, which are incredible, but they're not going to arrive soon enough for the need. And I'll frame this at the end by my comments about China. So people are planning 10 gigawatt data centers. Now, just to do the translation, an average nuclear power plant in the United States is 1 gigawatt. How many nuclear power plants can we make in 1 year where we're planning this 10 gigawatt data center? Gives you a sense of how big this crisis is.
Yeah, let that sink in, right? So that is a huge demand. If the companies are planning 10 gigawatt data centers and you're looking to install possibly 10 nuclear facilities, I mean, you're looking at least, I mean, right now from what we've been hearing, it's about between 5 and 7, maybe even 10 years to build out a nuclear site, nuclear facility because of the regulatory roadblocks and all that stuff, all the feasibility studies you have to do, all the environmental studies you have to do, everything that goes into it. So it's not an easy feat to put up power quickly. The fastest way to do it is obviously solar, wind, natural gas, probably coal as well at that point. Those are the ways you can do it relatively quickly, where you can just buy those machines, the generators for those things, plug them in, get them set up and get them running. That's probably the fastest way. It's not always the best way, but it's probably the fastest way to do it. So the companies that obviously he mentioned here, plus others in this space, have the megawatts available currently to provide the megawatts that a lot of these companies need in the data center space here, or compute space, AI space, whatever you want to call it. These guys do have it here. So I'm expecting great things for those guys to happen here in 2026. Some will probably do better than others. We don't know which ones are going to outperform, but I believe a lot of these guys will do very, very well based on what we are seeing here in the space right now as it is. All right, there's that. Next here we have this. This is from Mr. Crypto Whale. People are still debating 100,000. Meanwhile, the setup points to 380,000 Bitcoin in 2026. All right, this is from one person here. I don't know if we're going to get to 380,000 in 2026. That would be roughly, what would that be? We're at 90,000 roughly right now as it is. So 180, 270, 360. That's basically a 3x more or less from here. Now, if he is Mr. Whale, Mr. Whales have been wrong in the past. If they are pointing to 380,000, I would say cut that maybe in half. And if we get to 190,000 or something like that, that would be a great thing, because we have seen this in the past where a lot of these guys do hype up Bitcoin much higher than where it actually ends up going here. But he's looking at the charts here on lines, and if we follow charts and lines, it would say that we're going to 380,000 right within the next. Again, I would love to see that. I'm not sure it's going to happen here, but man, that would be great. All right, last but not least here, we have this from Mike Alfred here. Breaking key intelligence info indicates that Venezuela had a secret Bitcoin stockpile of more than 600,000 coins, which may have been seized yesterday when the U.S. government bagged Maduro. Right, we don't know. It's a rumor right now as it is. It'd be definitely something interesting, but I don't know what the legality is behind that, as far as if the United States did seize 600,000 Bitcoin, if that is obviously owned to, supposedly it's based on narcotics, right? So if it was ill-gotten, maybe the U.S. can seize that. That would be very interesting. That would give a nice stockpile to the United States for their Bitcoin reserve without having taxpayers to fund it. So this would be a pretty good win here at least for the United States. It would be a pretty bad loss for the Venezuelan civilization or people there overall. But for us, it would be great, right? But the people in Venezuela could probably use it more so than anything else, I think. They've been definitely held a hard hand here, or hard cards here in the last, I would say, what's it been, 10 years plus with Maduro in power there. But it's interesting to kind of think about this, how easily it would be. But they got to obviously have the wallet there. They have to also know the passphrase and the 24 seed phrase as well in order to get access to it. Maybe they do have that. Maybe Maduro had it on his person. Maybe, I don't know. But that's it. That's all I got for you guys here. That's basically what's going on here. We'll take a look at what's going on tomorrow, Monday. We might get some updates from the miners here as far as production for December. And other than that, it's looking like a great start to January. Fingers crossed. We continue on this nice little rally that we've been here on right now. But overall, I think 2026 is going to be a great year for us. Regardless, we're going to have some ups and we're going to have some downs, but in the long run, I think we're going to be up higher from where we were to start the year nonetheless. All right, let's get into Q&A here. See what you guys have to say, questions, thoughts, comments, and all that stuff as well. And if you preface the questions with a question mark or a Q, I'd appreciate it. I'm going to scroll my way up as always and work my way down, and we'll get through all this stuff as well. All right, Roger asks, will you take profits this time? And I responded to Roger in the comments saying that yes, if the miners go up to a certain price points and stock prices, I will start taking profits, right? One of the things I'd like to see like IREN get to is like $140. I think at that point, that would be seven-digit profits for me at that point. That'd be a great time to get out of it. I think it can do that, maybe even more so than that. But we need to see some good news releases from them, right? Getting more customers, maybe building out their own AI data centers more so for their own use. All those things are going to be a good thing for the stock there. So looking forward to 2026 there. John Kurtz, hey Seb, Cleanspark is set to announce the results of its December and full year Bitcoin mining update Monday. They usually do it relatively quickly here, so we should see that on Monday, which I'm looking forward to see that as well. Neil says to the moon, I hope that is the case there. Let's see here. Kamikaze says pre-markets are flying. Yes, they are, which is nice to see there. Roger, question, will there be a CME gap tomorrow that we will have to close before the run? Talked about that in the beginning, right? There's a $40 gap right now as it is. Like I said, I want that gap to be filled quicker than later, if we can have that done. All right. I cannot pronounce stuff. KH, I'm going to call you KH, I'm sorry. What price and when, if the rally comes this month, will you plan to exit Cleanspark or start trimming? Cleanspark right now, I think they still could go much higher from where they are right now. Right there at, what are they at? Where's it at? 11.55 as of Friday. I have them somewhere between $22 and $34, or sorry, $19 and $29 right now. Now, if they get a deal for HPCI, we could see them go up even higher at that point. So time will be, I guess, the essence here as far as what do I do, right? I'm willing to hold on for a little bit longer. I think they can get some deals for their sites in Georgia, maybe some other sites as well. And if they build out anything for their own use, like the way of IREN, right, where IREN has bought GPUs and provided customers with access to those on bare metal, by bare metal, I think that's going to be a good thing as well. They have a lot of Bitcoin that they hodl right now, so they could use that as well to fund their growth here going forward. So I like the setup for Cleanspark as well. I think they can go up higher. I'd love to see Cleanspark, get maybe above $30 and then some as well. So I'd probably start slowly trimming at that point, right? If we're getting to like $30, maybe $40 in Cleanspark, I would slowly start trimming at that point. Okay. Let's see, Midwest Island. This is just another pre-market, aftermarket pump and dip when the market opens. We've seen that before as well, so we'll see if that stays the case here tomorrow, right? Usually right around 9, 10 o'clock Eastern time, we start seeing a dump on these things. We'll see if that also has happened. Let's see here. Gazwell Odie says, has the bull run started? We won't know for at least another week or so, depending where Bitcoin goes. I think we get above 100,000. I think that's a good indication at that point that the bull run has started here. And David actually says that as well. 100,000 is resistance, so if we can get above that, I think we'll be in pretty good shape there. John, question. Of the two, which would you buy? Cleanspark or Cypher maxed out on IREN? Gosh, which one would I buy more? So if we look at megawatts, I think Cypher has more megawatts right now available within the next 2 years or so, whereas Cleanspark has a little bit less. So if Cleanspark comes out there, which we don't know, right? They could come out and state that they're getting more megawatts with different sites that they're buying up or something like that. That could happen. But based on that, I would say maybe Cypher maybe a little bit better. Bet maybe right now as it is. You guys know, I own Cleanspark, I own Cypher, I own IREN, I own Bitfarms as well. And I still think that Cleanspark is way undervalued compared to Cypher. So it depends how you look at it, right? Megawatts or valuation. If you look at valuation, I would say Cleanspark. If you look at megawatts, I would say Cypher. Okay. Let's see here. MR Samir. Cypher had a great run compared to Cleanspark by far, so I will say Cleanspark has more potential for growth and price action, in my opinion. Right, so that way we'd be looking at the valuation more or less. And at that point, I would agree with you there. All right, Victor, isn't Okolo going to be online next year? That, I don't know. That one. What are your thoughts on ASST? I mean, Mike seems to like him quite a bit there, right? He's been pumping a couple $1 million into the stock there, I think. I'm not sure. I haven't really delved into those guys. I haven't gotten into any kind of treasury company here as it is, whether it's MicroStrategy or Strategy Now or any other ones. I just don't know how much of a valuation they should have a premium on what they own as far as Bitcoin. So for that reason, I have stayed away from those things. I don't know if that's the right call. Right now, it's kind of worked out to be a right call, but we'll see. Maybe things change if Bitcoin really does run on a nice rally here. Brett PG, the poop was fake as F. Which thing was fake? Full on psyops. Not sure what you're referring to there. Mark, let's see. It's about oil, Seb, not drug. It's always about oil. Follow the money. I know it's oil. They have a lot. They have the #1 reserves in the world for oil when it comes to that. Yes, it is that, but also the reason I think they can get the Bitcoins is maybe because of the drugs there, right? Maybe because of that. It's not because of oil. It's going to be because of something that he did illegally. What else we got here? Victor says, ASST could be a good bet at the moment. It is way down, so it might be a good bet, like a short-term play. I would say, okay. But like I said before, I just don't know how much of a premium those companies should get for owning Bitcoin. Right. Amar Samir, hi Seb, I'm expecting a good start of 2026 and a new all-time high for Bitcoin and miners HPCI at some point in 2026. not necessarily by end of year. As we approach the next halving, the scenario will change. Your take? The scenario has already changed, I think. If we get an extended cycle here, right, Bitcoin should have topped out in 2025, and we should be in a bear market right now as it is. So for that reason, I think the scenario has already changed. With the halving event coming up here in almost 2 years now, right, in 2 years? Yeah, 2 years. We would historically be in a bear market right now, going into a bear market actually, and then we should be pumping after the halving event. With the extended cycle, we should be going up slower, higher, but it's just going to be a longer time frame. That's kind of my thoughts on it right now. Okay. Guys, well, where did you say, Seb, the CME gap is at, Seb? It is at, it's like a $40 gap right now on it. It's not that far. Oops. Let me see. Let me pull this up. Browser. Let's see. Okay. You guys can see it here. So CME gap, if we look at it here, if you look at the price action, the high point on Friday was 91,555. The low spot on today, which is obviously Monday, is 91,585. So you got the $40 difference on that. So that's kind of where the gap is right there between those candlesticks. So like I said, I would like to see that get filled quicker than later. Okay, covered that. Amar Samir, question, been wondering, why do data centers have to be near large cities? Why does it matter? So the reason it matters is latency. So if you have something that has to have very, very low latency, you want data centers to be where the people are, where the population is, right? Where the people are going to be using the technology at that point. Think about low latency for like surgical robots. Think about latency for self-driving cars. Robots in general, right? You're gonna want data centers close to those large populations, so that you don't have a lot of latency, right? Quick responses back and forth. Other than that, you can have data centers out in the outskirts if you're just doing training for AI or something like that, where you don't really care about latency. But that's kind of why that matters there. All right. Brett PG says, LMAO, the bull market has been going on since 2023. Brett says, okay, the Maduro thing. Okay, I get you with that. Was a full on PsyOps. Sadie, thank you so much for the likes. All right, let's see here. All right, Surge says, I mean, unless we get above a certain number, we're still technically in a bear market territory. You have to go up to like 106,000, break it and stay above there and not be bearish. Yeah, I think like 100,000. If you can get above 100,000, we should be okay here. But again, I mean, we're bearish, but we've been bearish already. This is the third time now that we've been bearish on Bitcoin here, where Bitcoin has dropped like 30% plus, like 30, 35, 36% plus, right around there. I shouldn't say plus because the last 3 times we haven't dropped down more than 40%. Okay, this is the current time. Prior to that, we had it in 2025, from the beginning of 2025 into April, through the tariffs, right? Bitcoin dropped down like 32, 33%. And then prior to that, we dropped down in 2024 before the halving event, where Bitcoin peaked at like 70-some thousand, and then we came down to like 40-some thousand. That was another 30% drop, and that was all extended drops in that price, in that time frame. So again, this is just another one of those that we've seen an extended, prolonged drop in Bitcoin price, like 30-some% down. So that's why I'm thinking that this isn't really a bear, it's just a correction, really. All right, Victor. What miners do you think will come up with good news in Q1? I think a couple of them actually might. I think we're going to continue to see some good news from IREN as far as their growth for their own AI, Neo Cloud business. We'll probably hear some good news maybe from Cypher, getting another site maybe contracted with somebody. We might hear something from Cleanspark for their Georgia sites. So I think the possibilities there are out there for a lot of these guys. BitDeer even, Hut 8, I mean, recently got a deal. We could see quite a few of these guys. Wolf as well. I'm not sure exactly who's going to come out with the best news, but I think we'll get some good news from maybe a couple of these guys here. All right. David says, closest comparison to Maduro is Manuel Noriega. The government made money on drug trafficking, especially Delta Force, who captured Maduro. Exactly that, 600 Bitcoin, the gold, and the UK petrodollar. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely interesting events that have happened there. Rob, how you doing? Rob says, nice seeing Bitcoin at 92.4. All right, David says, the control of the oil markets, same war in Iraq, Afghanistan, Iran, and next Cuba. Well, we've heard some talk from Trump that Colombia might be next on his list there. The leader there, I guess, in Colombia. Crazy times we're living in. All right, Brett, we will be lucky to see 146,000 sub tops in, if not close. See, I disagree with you there, but you could be right. I'm not saying that I'm 100% right, that I'm, the oracle of this or anything like that. I'm just looking at what's been happening in the space, how the adoption is doing as well. But time will only tell on it, right? But you might be right. I'm not saying that. Question, if Bitcoin hits 180,000, ASD will skyrocket? Yes, it will. So will pretty much everything else here. Let's see, Surge, there's a gap back at 88,000, correct? You think we might touch that in the morning? At 88,000? Did I miss? Is there a gap at 88,000? Let's take a look at it here. And now I'm 88,000. I mean, I'm not sure where you're looking at the gap there at 88,000. We had, how far back are we going to 88,000? I mean, everything here, we got the candles all kind of lining up a little bit. So the only gap that I see here, at least right now, is at 40, unless I'm missing something here that we had at 88,000. See, 88,000 was right around here. Yeah, maybe we wick down to that tomorrow. We'll see. You never know. Markets open up tomorrow, and people are going to be like, oh, crap, we missed it over the weekend here. And, things work out that way. All right, talked about that one. Brett PG says, I hope you're right, Seb. Yeah, I'm hoping I'm right, too, but you never know. I don't have a crystal ball. You don't have a crystal ball. We're looking at charts. We're looking at adoption. We're looking at all those things. It's anybody's guess right now. But the things that I've been seeing here with the way Bitcoin's just been acting this cycle, it is way, way different from what it's acted like in the past. So I think that's one little, bullet point. There's other bullet points as well with the adoption that we're seeing here, all these stuff that's happening here. The corrections that we've seen here have been longer. Bitcoin price performance hasn't been that great either. So there's just a lot of stuff happening here where I think it's pointing to an extended cycle, but we'll see. All right. Amanda says, we have a correction in Q1, Q2, then rally, or miners will go up from now. I don't know if we're going to have a correction. I mean, we've already had a correction here basically last quarter in the miners and Bitcoin too. So I'm not sure we're going to go back down. I think we'll slowly trend upwards. I don't want to have a rocket ship going up on these things because then it's much easier to manipulate them and bring them back down. But if we have a sustained rally in these things and markets and AI and data centers and crypto as well, I mean, we're seeing gold obviously being up, silver being up as well. Eventually, I think we're going to see some rotation happening from like gold, silver, and others assets into possibly crypto as well, which leads me to believe that 2026 will be a good year, but we'll see. Okay. All right, Sir says, might be remembering it wrong. Could be more or less 88,000. Okay, so somewhere around there. So, yeah, I mean, I don't see anything right now, so we'll see where it goes. All right. Time to go now says, any new investment, crypto or stocks you are considering that you can share, care to share? Nothing right now. I'm just keeping a close eye on what I own right now as it is and the other companies that are in the space as it is. I think the energy companies are going to be a solid play going forward. SpaceX is one of those that I'm kind of watching here to see if they go public in 2026. Probably love to get into that. Any companies that are in AI that are working on prolonging people's lifespans, those things I think will also have a huge impact here going into the next couple of years. So those types of things I would look at. Anything that has to do with AI in any way that's, well, company that says that they're AI, right? It can't be just that. You have to actually have results and proof that they're working on something that's AI that's going to be helping them out in the long run. But we don't want it to become to like the AI.com bubble, the .com bubble that we saw back in 1999 and 2000, right? Where companies that just changed their names to .com at the end were being so highly overvalued that was ridiculous without having any revenues. So companies that have revenues right now, but they are using AI to help them out, I think is going to be a good bet there going forward. So that's the ones I would look into. All right, Rob, let's hope the Trump U.S. Venezuelan sitcom don't affect the markets tomorrow. I mean, right now the markets are kind of liking what's going on here as it is right now. Oil's coming down, right? Oil companies are coming up. We'll see how the rest of the market does tomorrow, though. Brett says 100% can agree with you on adoption, etc. with the ETF. Okay, I mean, yeah, we agree on some things. We may disagree on some things, and we'll see in the long run who is right or close, right? Let's see, David, recommend reading the Fort Bragg Cartel by Seth Hill. Okay, I have not read that. I'll have to take a look at that one. Serge here. I think with a whole Venezuela thing, we just have to see if they become really defiant to Trump. That will probably out of the market. It's a leftover regime, just decides to stand and fight. Yeah, as far as how does the country go forward, and right, is it pro-Western, is it pro-U.S., all that things. Can U.S. companies go back into Venezuela as well and start pumping oil out of there like they have been in the past? Right, that's all going to be figured out, I guess, in the coming weeks, months ahead as time progresses here. But it looks like the people in Venezuela and people here that are also here in the United States that are Venezuelan seem to view this favorably. So maybe this is going to be a good thing for them. I'm hoping for the best for them. All right, Rob, are you invested in the BTC ETF sub? I am not. And the only reason I am not is because I own Bitcoin directly. So that's the reason why. Search, sorry for the typos. I was driving. LOL voice. Well, concentrate on driving. I don't want you getting into an accident. You can always, text your comments after the video is up. You can put it there. I'd rather have you do that than drive and try and do that. I don't want you getting hurt while listening to this show. But I appreciate it, though, nonetheless. But be safe out there. Gary says, IREN had 7.3 million in revenue in Q3. It has forecast 3.4 billion annual run rate by the end of 2026, which is a 466% increase in revenue. If they deliver like they have always done in the past, then huge gains. I agree. That's why I'm holding on to them. Right? They got up to close to $80. Didn't sell. I think they're going much higher from where they got to and where they are right now. So I'm with you on that, Gary. I think there's a lot of good upside here for IREN, especially in this space. Okay, but that's it, everyone. Thank you so much for coming in. We've come to all your questions, comments. And again, if you're driving out there, go ahead and listen, but don't comment. Take your time, get to where you're going. I don't want you getting hurt or in an accident or anything like that, or hurting anybody else. But thank you all for coming in. Let's see, a couple more comments coming in here really quick while we finish this up here. Gary says, note that IREN 3.4 annual run rate doesn't include any miners in Sweetwater, 1.4 gigawatt site opening April. Yes, I know. Yeah, I mean, you include that revenue potential there as well, and we're going much higher in that stock price as it is. All right, Sarge says, what's your opinion on making a bet? I'm just buying altcoins that have ETFs. Well, I wouldn't do that, but it's up to you. The altcoins have not performed that well this cycle, more or less, you could say. I bought altcoins in the past, regretted it, have lost pretty much each time I bought them. The only one that has really done well for me has been Bitcoin and, to a certain degree, Ethereum as well. Now, there's other ones out there, like I could say maybe Solana, I think, is another one that's doing pretty good there, and maybe a couple others. Other than that, I would stay away from them, but that's just my take on it from just having past experience. They haven't worked out that well for me. Okay. And as far as the ETFs here, the ETFs will probably pump a little bit here. Again, you have to look at the use case of the coins individually. Right. And then, David, majority of the cocoa paste comes from Bolivia. The Bolivian revolution is an anti-American revolution ideology, and occasionally the U.S. bombs the crap out of them. Yeah, that might be the case here. I'm not 100% well-versed on everything that's going on around the world. Nobody has time for that. I try to concentrate just on the things that are obviously in our purview that affect us really quick. Some of those things that are across seas are tragic. Yes, they are. Just the way people are treated sometimes by their governments and things like that, which I don't like. I don't think anybody likes that. And I want everybody, you guys and gals and everybody else around the world to have, peace, pursuit of happiness, pursuit of joy, living the life that you want to live as best you can without having the government having their foot on your neck, basically. So I wish that for everybody. wherever you might be. Gary says, have a great weekend. You too, Gary, or have a great week. David says, Hezbollah works together to fund IREN and Islamic terrorists. Yeah, again, I don't know any of this stuff here. A lot of stuff is over my head here, so you might be right there. Tim says, cheers, Seb. Have a good evening. You too, thank you. And Serge says, have a good week, man. You as well. Thank you so much for coming in. Greatly appreciate all of you. Love you all. And we'll see what happens tomorrow with the markets. Do we get a dump again like normally we would with Bitcoin and the miners at that point? Maybe not. So we'll see. Last couple ones here. OTC question said, what has happened so we would accept that this is not an extended cycle? What has to happen? If Bitcoin goes below 80,000, gets to like 70,000, at that point, I would say this is a bear market. This is a continuation of another cycle that we've had in the past year. All right. Asar says Venezuela news is bullish for the markets. Energy and oil are going to come way down. Yep, I agree with you there. Sadie, thank you so much for the happy smiley face. I can't see the other one. And the glasses cheering there. Sadie, thank you as always. Everyone, thank you. We'll see you all tomorrow. Hopefully we're going to be in the green by the end of the day as well. All right. Love y'all. See you. Bye.